Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, shloka number 11 to 15.
देवान् भावयतानेन ते देवा भावयन्तु वः परस्परं भावयन्तः श्रेयः परमवाप्स्यथ इष्टान् भोगानि वो देवाः दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यः यो भुङ्क्तेस्तेन एव सः यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तः मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः भुञ्जते ते त्वगं पापाः ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात् अन्नाद्भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः यज्ञाद्भवति पर्जन्यः यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भवः कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवं तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्.
We have studied up to shloka number 10 of this chapter, Karma Yoga. So Arjuna asked question, you are praising knowledge, but you are forcing me to do action. Which one should I do? For which Sri Krishna answered by saying, everyone must get the enlightenment through knowledge only, but you have to qualify for knowledge. Your mind has to mature to be able to grasp the knowledge, digest it, and bring about the transformation. For that, you got to convert the actions into worship. You got to perform actions as karma yoga. If you remain inactive, but mentally indulge in the world, you become a hypocrite. And if you constantly run after your desires with no higher purpose, not doing your actions as a karma yoga, then also you increase the desires. Agitations also follow. So then what do you have to do? So he said, you should not control your organs of action. You should actually be controlling your organs of perception and the mind. Direct your mind towards the higher purpose, and whatever comes from that, take it as a prasad. Do it as karma yoga. And then he said, this capacity to do actions in the spirit of karma yoga consciously, only the human being has. No animals have this capacity. The other species, they do what is according to their nature, but they do it unconsciously. Whereas human beings consciously go about expressing their actions propelled by desire and ego. So all that the Vedas teach us is, you got to understand that you are part of the whole when you consider yourself as a jiva. Right? So everyone is interdependent. So once you understand that everybody is interdependent, you got to express your nature like the other species do, but you have to do it consciously. So J. Krishnamurti ji says, animals are unconsciously perfect. Human beings are consciously imperfect. Now we have to move from conscious imperfection to conscious perfection. We have to start living like other species, expressing our nature in the interest of the total, but doing it consciously. So he says in verse number 10, the Creator, having in the beginning created mankind, together with Yajna, said, by this shall you propagate. Let this be the milk cow of your desired objects. Karma Yoga is compared here to Kamadenu. Kamadenu is the cow talked about in our Puranas. It is supposedly in the ashram of sage Vyasa, and it has the capacity to fulfill your desires. Right? So he says, Karma Yoga is the Kamadenu that will fulfill your desires, and not only it will fulfill your desires, it will take your mind beyond desires. That's the idea. We are not supposed to suppress our desires. We are supposed to sublimate our desires. We are supposed to rise above our desires. So he says the means for that is performing actions in the spirit of Karma Yoga. So when he says the Creator having in the beginning created mankind together with Yajna said, means Veda Dwara, through the Vedas. So I explained to you last week that Vedas are considered as Apaurusham. Apaurusham means not the work that has come through the human ego. When certain human beings called sages have dissolved their ego through the process of spiritual sadhana, the divinity expressed through them at various times, and that is called as Vedas. So it is divinity speaking through them. So it is Apaurusham. It is not something that has come through human effort. You understand? So that's what he's saying. So from the very beginning, it is going on, given by the divinity, and it says that you have to emancipate yourself through the Karma Yoga. You cannot escape from action. You have to perform action. But you have to perform it in the spirit of Yajna, Yoga. Then you will fulfill the desire also. At the same time, you will not increase your vasanas. And then he continues. He continues talking about the importance of Yajna, functioning in the spirit of Yajna, how you can fulfill your desires through Yajna, how the nature will come together to satisfy your desires. That he explains in the next shloka. Verse number 11.
देवान् भावयतानेन ते देवा भावयन्तु वः परस्परं भावयन्तः श्रेयः परमवाप्स्यथ.
In this shloka, he says, nourish the gods with this. This meaning Karma Yoga. Nourish the gods with this, and may those gods nourish you. Nourishing one another, you shall attain the supreme good. Remember, Arjuna, when he surrendered in 2nd chapter, verse number 7, he said, I want Shreya. What is good for me? Right? In fact, he says, my nature is overpowered by the taint of pity, and I am confused about what is dharma, what is correct in this context. I am surrendering to you. I am thy disciple. So please tell me certainly what is good for me. What is Shreya for me? And then he says, I don't see that even if I achieve the kingdom, and even if that kingdom is unrivaled, or even if I achieve something beyond unrivaled kingdom, like heaven, for example, this will not really bring about solution to my samsaric issues. In other words, he is clear in his head that nothing materialistic can bring about the inner happiness, that peace I am looking for. So therefore, what is good for me should be something beyond materialistic. So that good I want, he's asking, not something that is material. You understand? If material also can come with it, fine. But what I really want is That one, knowing which nothing remains to be known, attaining which nothing remains to be attained, knowing which I thereafter don't run after for finding happiness, thereafter I run around in this world out of happiness. I want to continue living my life as a celebration. That good I want. That was his question when he surrendered. So he's saying that good, that supreme good, that Shreya, you will attain. How will you attain? By nourishing gods, he says. Now, if you see in translation, Swamiji's book, the translation, gods is with small letter G and plural, isn't it? It's gods. And God is starting with small letter. If it is referring to Brahman, the ultimate reality, it will be in singular, God with capital G. So when it is talking about gods, what is taken to be gods in our scriptures? All the powers that is manifested in this nature is taken to be gods. These are unseen blessings, isn't it? Like we say fire god, right? Rain god. All are considered as gods. So innumerable manifested powers in this universe, which also contributes for our living, mainly contributes for our living. We consider them as gods and we have to align with them and function. So when he says here, nourish gods, meaning what? You understand that you are a part of the total. As a jiva, if you consider yourself from the point of view of Atma, you are that self. You are the divinity. But if you look at yourself as this jiva, this individual, then you are part of the total. Then the law of interdependence starts coming into picture. We are dependent on the nature. And it is in our, responsibility that we have to align with nature and function. Isn't it? So you got to keep the ecological balance in mind. So that is what he's saying. When you keep the ecological balance in mind and do your duties with that responsibility, with no sense of indispensability, you don't think that you are everything. There are so many factors which are contributing for your actions. Like today we could have the class because the weather is fine. 3 days ago, it was raining heavily in the morning in Delhi. Right? Suppose even when we were coming, there's a very slight drizzle was there. Now, supposing if it was a heavy rain and let's say there was water logging and traffic jam, etc., I could have not reached here. We would have not probably had the class. So there are so many factors that are there contributing for us to be doing whatever we are doing. So we must understand that, and then we have this humility. You understand? So therefore he says, nourish the gods. Nourish the gods by living in this world with the sense of duty, not with the sense of rights. Not with the sense of taking, with the sense of giving. So understand that you have to align with the ecology. The small circle will have to align with the big circle. You understand? So therefore he says, nourish the gods. And when you nourish the gods will nourish you. Nourish the gods and gods will nourish you. See, nourishing the gods means when you align with the total and function, you are functioning dharmically. Right? So, when you protect dharma, dharma protects you. That's the whole idea. So, in fact, the system will continue when everybody follows it. Isn't it? That's all he's trying to say here. So, nourish the gods and may those gods nourish you. Nourishing one another. Parasparam bhavayantaha. Nourishing one another, you shall attain supreme good. So, when you function like this, doing your obligatory duty, he already mentioned that, no? Do your obligatory duty. How you have to do? In this spirit, with humility, with right attitude, as an offering, right? As an offering to the totality. Then the totality blesses you. Then there will be enough rain coming on time, leaving on time. If the rain comes and doesn't leave, It can devastate. So when you follow the system properly, then the system blesses you. Then there will be productivity. Then there will be qualitative living. Therefore, he says, you must understand this and with humility of the function, because this advice is required to be given only to the human being. See, I think there is this documentary by ex-vice president of America, Al Gore. It's called as Inconvenient Truth, isn't it? Now, I don't know if you've seen that. I've seen it once. Now, he talks about this global warming and all that. Now, who is responsible for it? Animals or human beings? Animals are human beings. Human beings are responsible for it because we become greedy, avaricious, isn't it? We go about destroying. We abuse science. We, with intellect, have harnessed the time and space, isn't it? We have conquered, we can say, to an extent, the time. Right? You travel to another country in aircraft and you gain some time. Right? So you've harnessed time, you harnessed space with science, with your intellect. Now, you should use it, not abuse it. But unfortunately, the human mind, which is not guided by the Shastra, or the intellect that is fortified by the Shastra, is not guiding the mind, then what happens? The mind becomes greedy, avaricious. Right? So then you see all the atrocities. This is what we are doing. In fact, we can even go and say among the human beings, the destruction happens mainly by the so-called educated. Isn't it? Mostly by the so-called educated. So we go about destroying the land. The earth has been tremendously fertilized, and similarly, the air is polluted, the river is polluted, the nature is being completely destroyed. Isn't it? We use all possible technology and devastate it. So therefore, this advice is given Veda Dwara, through the Vedas, through the Bhagavad Gita, to the human being. Listen, man, just because you've got this intellect and through that you've gained this intelligence, you still have to abide by dharma. This is very important. The moment you don't protect dharma, when you go against dharma, it destroys you. So in your own interest, you should protect dharma. This is what we need to understand. You know, we hear that statement very often. It says, live and let live. In fact, I look at it differently. Let live, only then can you live. Isn't it? There was an article in one of the newspapers I read many years ago. Nowadays, when it rains, you don't see that tadpoles in the stagnant water. Those days when we were growing up, we have seen it, isn't it? Tadpoles used to be there, and then it becomes the frog. And the eggs laid by the mosquitoes in the fresh water is all eaten by those frogs. So there was no dengue or malaria, or it was all controlled. Now, the rainwater is acidic. So there is no tadpole, there is nothing. Slowly, you see all kinds of disease becoming more and more devastating us. Why is all this? Because human being is moving away from dharma. Human being is moving away from dharma. This is not the fault of science. This is not the fault of science. It is, what happens is the moment we are given the power, then our real character comes out. Isn't it? A strong character is one in whom power becomes powerless. When power is powerless, you are a strong person. A little power comes and then you start abusing it. That shows clearly that you are a very, very weak person. You are not a strong person. You know, Swamiji gives this example, which he says, he read in one of the magazines. He talked about Muhammad Ali in America. He was in a supermarket and he was, looking into the shelf and getting stuff. into his basket. As he was moving about, by mistake, he banged on somebody, a very thin fellow. And that fellow didn't recognize Muhammad Ali. He just slapped him. He got angry and he slapped him. And Muhammad Ali just shrugged his shoulders and said, I'm sorry. And he again said, you got to be sorry, and slapped him again. And Muhammad Ali just shrugged his shoulders and went away. And this was reported in the newspaper next day, and he came to know that he slapped Muhammad Ali. And he must have been admitted in ICU, you see. So that is real power. He didn't say, he should have just said, excuse me, my name is Muhammad Ali. He would have had a heart attack. But he never abused his power. You understand? He never said that. So when power becomes powerless, then only you are a truly strong person. Otherwise, every now and then you say, Pata hai main kaun hu? Pata hai mere baap kaun hu? You know, this is very common. What are we doing? We are all very weak. That is what it is saying. So he says, Parasparam bhavayantaha. You must with humility use the signs and understand that you are a small circle, align with the big circle, function dharmically, then you will attain supreme good. Then only your mind will lose its vasanas, lose its desires. Then your ego will become diluted. And slowly, slowly, it can be completely removed. So therefore, he says, it is through karma yoga you can attain good, supreme good. It brings about purification. So therefore, you got to, for your own good, align with dharma. Parasparam bhavayanta. So now once you understand this, or not understand this, based on this, there are three lifestyles that is possible. Right? Called as tamasic lifestyle, rajasic lifestyle, and sattvic lifestyle. So he talks about these three types of lifestyle in shloka number 12 and 13. So all he said so far is, yajna you must do it in the in alignment with dharma, then the gods will bless you in return. So you can attain material prosperity, drop your vasanas, and evolve spiritually, attain the spiritual good. So now he is going to say, people who follow this, how they live, people who don't follow this, how they live, what is the outcome of such a living? That he explains in the next two shlokas, shloka number 12 and 13. Let's get on to shloka number 12.
Ishtan bhogani vo devaha dasyante yajna bhavitaha tairdhattana pradayaibhyah yo bhungte stena eva saha.
Verily, the gods nourished by sacrifice will give you the desired enjoyments. He who enjoys what is given by them without having offered to them is indeed a thief. So in verse number 12, he's talking about a person who leads a tamasic lifestyle. It's talking about a tamasic fellow. So he says, the gods nourished by dharmic living will give you the desired enjoyments. There will be productivity, right? There will be no global warming. You can enjoy life. You will attain both prosperity and peace. But he who enjoys what is offered by nature without contributing to them, without having offered to them, he says, is indeed a thief, is verily a thief. Stena eva saha. So a tamasic person who leads a tamasic lifestyle, he says, is a thief. Can the thief be peaceful? He can never be peaceful. Right? During night, he goes about trying to steal from others. And in the morning, will he sleep properly? He cannot even have an Aadhaar card because he'll be caught. He cannot have a permanent address. He cannot sleep peacefully during the day also. So constantly shifting his base, afraid that he will be caught because he's been highly selfish. So he says a tamasic person is like that, one who eats without producing, one whose consumption, or one who lives only consuming, no contribution whatsoever. Taking things free, you understand? Taking things free from the society without understanding that I have an obligation to pay back. I am taking, but I have to pay back. No? Nature is giving me. Then I'll also have to do my duty to the nature. Tamasic person has no such concept. Things are coming free, simply take it. Especially in today's, the context, if you see everywhere, this 4-letter word has become very popular. S-A-L-E. Sale. And you go to certain destinations abroad, the word sale is painted permanently. Permanently there is sale. So in other words, we are wanting things free, or we are wanting things less than its real value. Meaning, I should contribute less and consume more, which is Rajasic, that he talks about in the next shloka. He talks about Rajasic and Sattvic lifestyle in the next shloka. So this is how people are living predominantly, isn't it? So that's what he's saying. One who eats without producing is a thief, tamasic person. He is only consuming, going on consuming. No contribution whatsoever. He's sucking the blood from the total. If you have to imagine the total as a being, Vishwarupa, right? And a person is, and that Vishwarupa is doing a lot of good for us. Like the mother is doing a lot of good for us, but you are sucking her blood rather than being grateful and doing what is to be done for her. What kind of a person would you be? Can such a person live peacefully? You understand? So therefore he says, such a person is a thief. And also, you see, he says, verily the gods nourished by sacrifice will give you the desired enjoyments. In the sense, see, we talked about different types of actions, right? We said Nishidha karma, forbidden actions. Then we talked about Prayaschitta karma, the ones which you do to, what do you call, as a repentance. That's called as Prayaschitta. And then actions that you do which you desire, you like, but they're not detrimental, right? Like, for example, you may have now mango season is coming. You may have a desire to have mango, right? So he says, all these kind of desires that you have, kamya karma, then obviously there is this obligatory duties, niyatam karma. So this kamya karma is not forbidden action. Kamya karma is different from forbidden action. Meaning, you like it, but at the same time, it's not detrimental, right? So what do you have to do? You have to regulate your kamya karmas, right? Not only you have to regulate them, but you also offer it to Bhagavan and have them. Bhagavan means the totality, right? So this we also explained. When an action is underlined by the spirit of offering, the power of offering is such that it destroys the desires slowly, because the focus is not on the enjoyment that will come out of that contact. That's the idea. See, when we contact without offering, where is our focus? The focus is on the enjoyment that will come from that fruit or anything that we contact. So we are constantly thinking about it with craving and contacting. When I'm contacting it with craving, what happens? Two things happen. My mind is so disturbed, it's running fast, and I'm contacting the object of my desire, so I won't really be satisfied with just one mango because I'm rushing and I'm eating. right? The moment I'm eating the first mango, as I'm eating the first mango, my thought is gone to the second mango, isn't it? So I'm not really registering the joy. I'm not really enjoying it. And not only that, the fact that my mind is gone to the enjoyment that can come from the mango, it is only going to increase the desires. And it goes on increasing the desires, and I may run after and have more and more mangoes. I don't get the same amount of joy I got in the first contact. Then I come to a point where I get neutralized. I get neutralized. Having the mango doesn't bring me joy. If I stop contacting it, it brings me sorrow. I get neutralized. So, therefore, he says, you got to offer it and then consume. Because when you offer it and consume, you rise above the desire. That is why he says, you will get the desired enjoyments. You understand? Otherwise, without offering, if you eat, you don't really enjoy. Even in the Upanishad, in the Isavasya Upanishad, the Guru says that, he says, Isavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat kyena tyaktena bunjita magrida kasya srutam. May you enjoy through renunciation. May you enjoy through offering. So even the kamya karma, not only obligatory duties, even the kamya karma, which is not against dharma, those kamas you can fulfill, but do that after offering. But if you do it without offering, if you simply enjoy the bounties of nature, right? Law of karma is not going to leave you. Firstly, you will be agitated, and you will have to pay for it at some point in time in your life. You, in fact, started paying for it with agitations. So, therefore, it says, he who enjoys what is given by them, by the nature, by the powers of nature called gods, devatas, without having offered to them, is like a thief. Stena eva saha. So, therefore, this lifestyle, tamasic lifestyle, is what? Only consumption, no contribution whatsoever. Only consumption and no contribution whatsoever. So, in today's context, it's like this, people rush to taking loans, and many of them don't have any intention of paying it back. Right? They are all rushing to take the loans, but have no intention to pay back. Recently also, we read in the newspapers about a particular company. I don't want to name it. Right? They have siphoned off the money. At least they're accused of siphoning off. Whether they've really done it or not, only the investigation will say. Right? So they're accused of siphoning off the money that they have taken from the banks. Isn't it? Into their personal accounts. It was meant for a certain purpose. Now, you need to read this. What is that? Nourish the gods, and may those gods nourish you. So everywhere this idea is now almost common, isn't it? These tamasic ideas are, in fact, glorified. That fellow, he took loan and he's made his money, he's enjoying. He's talked as if it's a great thing. Or I can stand 10 pegs. I've been driving for last 30 years after drinking, not met with an accident even once. As if it's some great achievement. You understand? We are now in a world where the tamas is glorified beyond a point. It's total delusion. We are actually in delusion. That's when we can talk like this. Otherwise, we won't talk. So, Gita education refines us. You understand? Removes this tamas by telling us, listen, you are like a thief. Your life will be like a life of a thief. So please don't choose such a living. That's what it means. So therefore he says, nourish the gods and may those gods nourish you. Don't eat the enjoyments given by the gods without offering to them. Then he continues by in the next shloka talking about Sattvic and Rajasic people. Shloka number 13.
यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तः मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः भुञ्जते ते त्वगं पापाः ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात्.
The righteous who eat the remnants of sacrifice are freed from all sins. But those sinners who cook for their own sake eat sin. So, the first line of the shloka is talking about the sattvic person who leads a sattvic lifestyle. The second line of the shloka is talking about the rajasic person who leads the rajasic lifestyle. What are the repercussions of leading such a lifestyle, respectively? So, first let us take the rajasic lifestyle. Then we come to the sattvic, because we discussed tamasic, the lowest. Then let's get on to the rajasic, which is the middle one, the mediocre one. Then let's get on to the highest, which is sattvic. So what does he say? He says, those sinners, he's calling the rajasic people who lead a rajasic lifestyle as sinners. Sinners in the sense, strictly speaking, when you understand Vedanta, you will not address anybody as a sinner. Because everyone is essentially Atma. Right? So, when everyone is Atma, which is beyond Punya and Papa, how can you address anybody as a Papi? When something is beyond virtue and vice, how can you address somebody as a sinner? So, therefore, when it says sinner, what it means is, we have to get into the discussion as to why does a person commit sin? The person commits sin out of attachment, desire, which comes from ignorance of his true nature. Right? So therefore, sinner means ignorant fellow. Fellow who is given into his or her desires. So that person, that is what is called as sinner. So those sinners, he says, who cook. Who cook means they produce. They are not like the other fellow which was discussed in the previous shloka, who eats without producing. Here they cook, meaning they produce, they contribute. But what is the intention? For their own sake. Atma Karana. For their own selfish purpose. One who cooks for selfish purpose, he says, will eat sin. See, in Vedanta, when we say sin, it has a different connotation, it has a different meaning. It means agitation. When you are functioning propelled by desire, is the world designed to cater to one individual's desire? It is not it's not designed to cater to one individual's desire. There are so many people. So, at any given point in time, many of your desires will remain unfulfilled. Right? So, when you do not have this Arpana Bhava and Prasada Bhava that is discussed in Karma Yoga, what will happen? You will be constantly agitated, disturbed. Isn't it? So therefore he says, a person who is selfish, who is only chasing the object of his desires, he is contributing for that purpose. He is working, he is going to work. But for what? For his own acquisitions and enjoyments. Not with this responsibility that from the time I am born, I am taken care of by the nature. When I was in my mother's womb, how was I getting all the nutrition? How did I get all the nutrition? My mother was eating fine, but it reached me now. So the laws of nature made sure that I get what I have to get. Even now we are able to sit and talk because the law of gravity is functioning. Isn't it? So we need to understand this. We have to get this big picture. Without understanding this big picture, if I think, okay, I'm born, I'm living in this world, I have to enjoy the bounties of this world, for which maybe I need to work. So I'll work. But the purpose is to acquire and enjoy. Such a person, he says, will only get the contrary result, which is not enjoyment. What is the contrary result for enjoyment? Of enjoyment? Agitations. That's what he calls a sin. Simply say is not in the action, it is in the reaction. When you do an action and it comes back and hits you as agitation, then you are committing a sin. You get it? So because the intention is bad, that is why it's a sinful action. So he says selfish action produces agitations. So Rajasic people, they live in this world purely to satisfy their selfish urges, nothing else. So they contribute, but their contribution and consumption cancels out. It's purely for their consumption. There, when they say they, it can probably include their family maximum. Maximum their family. Beyond that, the me doesn't, spread. It doesn't really include everyone in a Rajasic person's mind. So therefore, he says, such a person who cooks, who is involved in doing action, but only gets agitation. Now, Sattvic person, he says one who eats the remnants of sacrifice. A Sattvic person is one who eats the remnants of sacrifice. So the first thing he does is he offers it to Bhagavan. See, this is a culture, right? In India, if you see, when you get your first salary or when you get salary every month, nowadays it directly goes to your bank. But those days when they were given the check, right? First, what you do is you keep the check in the puja room or give it to your parents, fall at their feet, right? And then you deposit it in the bank, right? And then after you have encashed the check, then also while you're enjoying the salary, you will share it with your family and the society. And then you enjoy. Such a living is called Sattvic. That's all he's saying. The righteous means the dharmic people who live according to the spirit of Vedas, not one who lives according to the words of Vedas. You understand? Simply by the words, no. One who lives by the spirit of Vedas. So, he says the righteous who eat the remnants of sacrifice. Means they are not thinking about what I can get. They are only thinking about what I can give. Right? For about first 25 years, anywhere between, if you are graduating, now in India also now 4 years undergraduation, right? So to be a degree holder, 17 plus 4, 21 years you should be. Then if you want to do post-graduation, then 23 to 24. And then if you do PhD, up to about 30, let's say. So the first 25 to 30 years of your life, you're only taking and taking and taking. And with that education, you should become aware that you have been constantly consuming, taking. Now that you have taken and strengthened your roots, right? You are now a person who should be standing on your feet. Now it's time for you to start contributing. Isn't it? It's time for you to now contribute. Like a coconut tree. The first 3 to 5 years, the coconut tree is only taking and taking and taking. And once it's become strong, it starts giving till the time it perishes. It's not interested in getting the awards like Star Coconut Tree of the Week. Nothing of the sort. Simply goes about giving. So a Sattvic person who understands this, he also or she also goes about contributing. And then whatever comes out of it, accepts it as prasad, and that also he shares. Isn't it? When you go to Tirupati Balaji, you get the prasad. Isn't it? You get the prasad. What do? You distribute the prasad to your friends and neighbors. Everybody, even people who work in your in your house, everybody you distribute. This is prasad from God. Take it. Are you with me? That attitude, that is what he's talking about. So that is called righteous Sattvic living. So what is the benefit of it? What is the prasad? See, when you say prasad, prasad is not the object. Prasad is the attitude. And he says such an attitude frees you from all agitations, frees you from all sins. Isn't that what he's saying? The righteous who eat the remnants of sacrifice are freed from all sins. From all sins, how are you freed? From all agitations, how are you feel freed? Because of this attitude. When the attitude couples with the action, it purifies the personality of the desires and vasanas. That is why it is called as karma yoga. That is why it's called as action that purifies you. It's yoga. It unites you with the higher. You thereafter do not have the sense of insecurity, mental agitations, the complexes. None of this will be there in you if you function like this. That's all he's saying. So the remnants of sacrifice, we must understand what it is. The whole focus is giving. Then whatever comes, accepting it as prasad. That attitude is very, very important. If you have such an attitude, it will help you to scale greater altitudes in life. If you want to scale greater altitudes in life, you must have that attitude. See, education, intelligence without that attitude leads to arrogance and agitation. The quality of life suffers. You may probably have a what do you call, larger quantity. You understand? But you suffer. We already saw that in the first chapter, if you remember. When Duryodhana goes up to his guru, Dronacharya, and speaks, he shows as if he's speaking with confidence. He says, our army, protected by Bhishma, is unlimited. Aparyaptam. Aparyaptam is the Sanskrit word he uses, which means unlimited. Their army, protected by Bhima, is limited. Paryaptam. Because Kauravas had 11 battalions. Pandavas had only 7 battalions. So, he says our army is unlimited. It is protected by Bhishma, meaning the commander-in-chief. And then he says their army protected by Bhima. Bhima is not referring to Arjuna's brother, nor is it referring to anybody else. It is referring to whom? It is referring to Sri Krishna. Another name of Sri Krishna is Bhima. It is given in Vishnu Sahasranam. So Sri Krishna is there in their army. Which means what? Dharma is there. That's what it means. There is selflessness, righteousness in that army. So, the word he chooses to use here is aparyaptam and paryaptam. Our army, 11 battalions, aparyaptam, unlimited. Their army, 7 battalions, paryaptam, limited. But the word aparyaptam and paryaptam also has another meaning. What is that? Aparyaptam means also insufficient. Paryaptam means sufficient. In other words, with 11 battalions, which seems to be unlimited, is still insufficient. With 7 battalions, which seems to be limited, is sufficient. So, you have to understand from this, what? Duryodhana, is he fighting for a higher cause? He's working in this world purely for his selfishness, isn't it? So such a person, how will he be peaceful? He'll only be agitated, constantly agitated, isn't it? So therefore, it's showing there, that sense of insecurity is showing there. Our army with 11 battalions is insufficient. What is that showing? Insecurity, agitation, sin, because he's not having prasada bhav. So that is what he's saying here, Sri Krishna, in this shloka. When you have the attitude, see, this is important. That's why we say Vidya should bring Vinaya. Vinaya means humility. In the 5th chapter, when we get there, you'll see in one of the words, he says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. A Brahmana is one who has both Vidya and Vinaya. It's not just Vidya. You should have Vidya and Vinaya. Both education, knowledge, and humility. In fact, you are a knowledgeable person only when you have humility. To the extent you lack humility, to that extent you are not an educated person. You may be called as a literate. That's a different matter. You understand? So therefore, he says the righteous, sattvic person lives as per the Vedic injunctions on a daily basis, contributes and consumes. And that before consuming also, he has the right attitude of accepting it as prasad and sharing. So if you see, his contributions outweigh the consumption. His contributions outweigh the consumption. In the case of a Rajasic person, agitations outweigh the enjoyments. So the fact that the person who is functioning in the spirit of Karma Yoga, the sattvic lifestyle, one who is leading, such a person, mind is calm. Isn't it? When you take the prasad, are you taking it in a hurry? You take it and aramse you put it in your mouth. Right? And you will experience every aspect of that prasad, enjoy it totally. Because your mind is not rushing. You remember, Rajasic person, when we talked about, I explained to you, the mind is rushing, you don't even register the content. And also the fact that your mind has gone to the enjoyment, you increase the desire. In the sattvic person's case, the mind is very much in the present. Therefore, when the sattvic person is contacting in this bhav, he is contacting mindfully. And his contact is also delayed gratification. Isn't it? His contact is delayed gratification. His contact is mindful. As a result, he'll enjoy and not increase the desires. He will eliminate the agitations. Therefore, he says he becomes free from all sins. He is the one who leads a qualitative life. All the insecurities are gone. When you really understand that you are a part of the nature, when you think that you are apart from nature, and you have every right to take from nature, and you use your intelligence for that purpose, then you may seemingly have 11 battalions. In the sense, a lot of material success may be, but you will not be mentally peaceful. Isn't that what is happening in the world? You see this paradox, no? People, they themselves admit, I am having a lot of success, achievements, everything, but I have lost my peace. I want peace. I want peace. Where can I get it? As if it is being sold in the market. Right? So, Swamiji says, this paradox you can see. You go to the villages, there is not much of material prosperity compared to the cities, but they are more peaceful. You come to the city, there is a lot more material prosperity, but they themselves admit they're constantly in a rush, hurry, and they say that we are not that happy. We are not that peaceful. In fact, we are living in a much better world, isn't it? The world that we are living in today, with all these scientific discoveries and inventions, is a far better world compared to the joys and the comforts experienced by the kings. But in spite of it, the number of psychologists and psychiatrists are only going on increasing. Stress is on the high, is rising. Why? Because the attitude somewhere is wrong. That is where we have missed it. That is where we have lost it. That is what he's saying. The righteous who eat the remnants of sacrifice are freed from all sins. You become instantly free from agitations. And those sinners, meaning Rajasic people, who cook, who work in this world for their selfish purpose, they attain agitations rather than the enjoyment. With this, we'll conclude today's class. Oh, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.